Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Anyway, I have a clock to show you that is unique. It's kind of like an anniversary clock, but not really. And my understanding by talking to the clock group that I belong to, that these were a kit that you could buy. Now, how extent that kit was, I don't know if they had to laser cut it out themselves or what, but let me show you the clock. So this is the clock, and maybe I should unwrap it a little bit more, but at the moment, I'm going to say we're approximately 11 inches. Let me get that out of the package. So this is the clock, and it's missing a couple things, such as for the bell that sits right up here. It doesn't have the screw for it, and so I'm going to have to see about coming up with the screw for that. And it's also missing one hand. This is the guy that built the clock. He did not per se make the clock. Like I say, this is a kit, and this tells you up here what kind of clock this is. If you notice, it has these metal things that stick up. That's for the glass to sit in, so it actually does breathe air back and forth in this clock. This is a nice wood base, and this isn't very thick. It's actually thin. So, like the suggestion was in the group, this is possibly a newer one, and it was laser cut is why it's so thin. I don't know if you can see down inside there. This is a Hermle movement. It does say 85 above there, and of course that's where you wind it. This is supposed to have a pendulum hanging in here, but we're going to wind this up. I would almost suggest this here is a 1 day, or not a 1 day, an 8-day clock. So for now, I just put a solid weight on there, non-adjustable or anything else, just to see if this thing would tick. And looks like it was ticking for a short while. This clock probably needs to be oiled. And I will admit the gear, the mainspring, that looks pretty dirty also. So there's a chance that the mainspring drum or barrel, I'm going to be cleaning to see if I can get this clock going again. And of course I'm going to have to find a hand that's going to fit on here also. So I took those 4 nuts off. I have these 2 nuts left to take off, just to take the face off. I use my hand puller on here and got it off. This here face and the back is just a decoration, which of course, why not have a beautiful decoration like that? So there you can see what the actual movement looks like, and while I have it off, it'll be easier to place the bell on here if I can find a nut and a screw that'll fit that small of a hole. Here you can see my makeshift pendulum. It's supposed to be a brass pendulum, just like what the clock is. And this doesn't have any speed control, and if I wanted to keep that, or decided to, I guess we'll put it that way, I'd have to mess with this a little bit to get the right height. Otherwise, it's been ticking really, really good. And like I say, this here is really dirty if you actually look at the gears. There, right where each one of the gears actually are, it's just absolutely filthy. And that's because, technically speaking, this is the open clock because the glass doesn't seal all the way down to the wood base. So, I'm going to go ahead and take this back one off also, this 4 on here, and get to that movement. And underneath here, you can use a screwdriver or a socket, get the base off. So, like I've said before, this is a kind of a unique movement because of the height of what they've done here. And also, this has a slip clutch in here because I adjusted it so it'd tick while it's sitting on the desk. And as the hour hand goes around, that's what cocks this thing back, and then the spring comes in and it hits the bell. That was really pressed in there. So all this is just the piece that holds the back frame, this long one here. And they're not attached to that framework there, so I'm not going to worry about it. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let down this spring. And when I first started winding it, this is so gummed up in here that it let itself all the way down because the clicker couldn't come back. So let's go ahead and remove this first. There's a possibility this will just pop right out. Don't know until I take this off and find out. Some barrels are like that and other barrels are not. Yep. This one's the type that you can just pull this out and the barrel will come out. So the plate on the barrel is marked 11, and I haven't ever looked it up. That might be the size of the barrel and spring if you're to go buy a new one. I have no idea. And it's got that cheaper opening or to hold the spring, and this cap doesn't even have a opening on it. So I think the next thing we'll do is take this out. Is that screwdriver small enough? Nope. So because of that big screw head, it holds the hour hand shaft on. So to take this apart, I guess we'll be taking it apart. Well, I don't like it that way either. All the weight of the gears are down here, and so I think we'll take it apart this way, and that way the pendulum will be up towards the top. So on these will be separate, I'm sure. Twist this length here off and that should stay. Same with that one. I'll take the screws out. There's two there, and then these two here will have to be removed also. And then this has the nuts on here, not the screws. So let me get figured out how to get these things off of here. So on these screws that are holding the plate, I decided to take the two nuts off on this side and just pull it out. There's nothing in here that I need to worry about. All the gears are up here. And so, by the looks of it, I'll be taking these two off, will be my last ones. And I've already loosened them. This here goes to the bell. And that's why I said it'd be nice to get this thing screwed back together again if I can find a screw and a nut to get that bell on, because here it is, it's free. Nothing in the way. So we're going to try to take this apart so we can get a picture of those gears sitting there, even though it is wide open. These aren't attached. Oh, this gear here comes all the way through, is going to destroy everything popping out, so I'm going to have to put it together like this. So let me pull the plates off this way. and I need to put my legs on here because this is sticking out and it's gonna knock everything out. I don't know what's holding us together because these here are loose down below. These here are loose. Something's... Oh, I see. There's an E-clip in here that's holding this whole thing together. Looks like it's indented in, but that might be just the dirt. There we go. See that old oil where it was gummed up pretty bad. We'll get all that cleaned up. See the pivots are, the dirt is just clinging in there because of it being so open to the air along the bottom. So here we can now get that back in its hole. What's over here maybe? I can't see it. There it is. So now if you want, you can get a picture of this from the top view just to make it easier, but like I say, this one's pretty simple. So let's just quickly take it apart. Like I said, oil is just so old, but it's usually right here where the gears are, it's all turning black. This one here is going to stay in here. There is a screw deal in there. I'll show that to you in a minute. Of course, you have this. That's your slip clutch right there. See that gear, how dirt, the dust and oil mixing together, including on the top there. And this is held on with a spring. Carefully try to pop that off of there. Oh, I see. Well, let's see if we can pop this out and then turn it, because it just hangs up on that hook there. This is pretty free. So I think that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and take this screw out, or loosen it, whatever. It has a screw on both sides. I'm not sure that's still gonna, because you have this gear here that's pressed on. Well, if anything, I can move that up in order to get it to clean better where it's setting. Oh, it comes clear through. Look at that. For this being a kit, that's understandable. But thing's dirty. And then this here is what causes the bell to strike just once. and it looks like it's on the hour only. So that's why there's a screw in there, so you can adjust that if you get this thing off when you're putting it all back together again. See how dirty that gear is. So it's time for it to get a good cleaning. Man, it looks like grease. It's not, but that's what it looks like. And I'll go ahead and rebuild this thing too. I'll do it off a camera, more than likely. But just to show you real quick, like I normally do, and I have these springs to get this plate off, you hit this. And I use you use a piece of wood, plastic screwdriver end, whatever. And obviously you heard that weird sound. That's this coming off. And there's your spring. And besides the little grease look to it, it actually doesn't look that bad in there. And it probably isn't. That there grease looking oil, whatever, it's not a heart attack. In fact, this one here, I'd almost bet you could probably drop some oil in there, because I would almost say this clock wasn't running all the time, possibly because someone didn't want to wind it once a week. It's hard telling. It depends how much they had a love for this clock. I tried looking up this name, in which this name is let's call it a popular name. Show you these plates I only soaked in Dawn dishwashing soap, and you can see here the varnish, lacquer, whatever you want to call it's on here, is coming off. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these into the movement cleaner and just let it strip all the way off, and then I'll polish these and wax them, because they should be fine after that. And I will admit, besides, technically speaking, you don't see these plates because they have that fancy framework that bolts to these. So I got it back together and wound it up, I'm going to say about halfway, ticking right away. What's unique about this is each gear is lined up on top of each other, and that's what gives it its height. And I haven't put this back on yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on right away, because, and this goes to the bell, because I can't find a screw small enough that's going to match the hole I have in here and in here. So I got the clock running. No, I don't have the brass screw and nut yet, so I can't put the bell on. And I still need to order new hands for this because the minute hand is missing, and I did already have a nut for the hand in my collection of clock parts. So anyway, very happy it's running, and which I think it was gonna run anyway before I started, but just the same, I wanted it clean all the way because it did show signs of the dirt and dust. I have it up on its little stands to hold this thing up like it's supposed to. I guess that's what we call elegance. Not sure. Anyway, I'm also very happy I have a name tag of who built this clock. It may not have much meaning, but at least we know whose hands are on this to put it together. And of course now my hand's been on it because I tore it apart and rebuilt it. And the pendulum, if I can order one. Otherwise right now at the moment I just have that weight with the loop on it, and I made a wire that just held it. And if I can't get one for a while, I might go ahead and gold leaf that pendulum until I can find a hand that'll, or not a hand, but a pendulum that'll fit this. And so I do hope I helped a little bit on what history I could find on this clock. And of course it's a unique clock, and that's what I kind of enjoyed about it. I like the idea of all the gears straight in a row also. It just makes it taller and unusual. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe because it's free. And until next time, we're going to find out what clock I want to work on. So, God bless.